I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and welcome to our podcast, For the Health of It, episode 77. Remember to subscribe to our podcasts, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well.
The information presented on this program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
Are you suffering needlessly? Dr. Joe can give you advice on how to naturally get well and stay well. Dr. Joe Esposito.
Today we're going to talk about a topic that a lot of people are worried about, because I just saw a report that 30% now, is it 35% of the United States is now obese. Overweight is one thing. Obese is, I think, 20 pounds more than what they're supposed to be. And obviously we see that. We see it in our population, people getting fatter and fatter. And so people come to me all the time, pretty much more than daily, hourly almost. And they say, Dr. Joe, I want to lose weight. And some people, I'll start them out on a protocol. And some people say, well, Dr. Joe, I've done everything that I'm supposed to do to lose weight. Now, a lot of times I'll meet with that person, I'll look at their diet, and I'll go, yeah, you're kind of lying a little bit to me there. But some people really have done everything right. You know, they cut out what we call the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. They're eating more vegetables, fruit, fiber. They're taking supplements, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. And sometimes you're just stuck. And maybe you've tried this, you've lost weight, and then you hit a plateau, and you're stuck. So patients sometimes will turn to a little more extreme measures, like the supplements you could take that's supposed to stimulate your metabolism. They usually don't work. And a lot of them, in fact, are nothing more than stimulants. They're caffeine or taurine or other forms of stimulants that get into the body and just speed up your metabolism. But the danger of that is that you can burn out your adrenal glands. You could cause high blood pressure, put pressure on the brain. And so let's talk today about some issues that might be preventing you from losing the weight. You know, you may have hit some roadblocks. And sometimes it's not your fault, because as we go through this, you'll see. And then I'll give you some ideas to work around that. So it's really important. If you want to lose weight, if you've hit a plateau, or if you just can't get motivated, we're going to talk about that today. So prescription and over-the-counter drugs. This is a biggie, because a lot of times patients will come into my office, and we always do a consultation with our patients, and we find out why they're there. And as a chiropractor, my team of doctors, we ask about neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, of course, car accidents. If you've ever been in a car accident, ever, whether it was, a couple of years ago, I had patients come in from when they were 13 years old getting a car accident, and they're now in their 20s and 30s having problems. The sooner you get to us, the better. I'm going to go off on a tangent here for a second. The sooner you get to us, the better, because as the bones move out of place, if you get in a car accident, the bones are jammed out of place, scar tissue can form. I was just talking to one of my coworkers here, and she had surgery. And she said, I'm able to move my arm a little bit. It was shoulder surgery. And I said, you have to keep it moving, because if scar tissue forms, it's really hard to sometimes break up or never be able to break up that scar tissue. So with car accidents, the sooner you get to us, the better. And if the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. So don't think, well, I didn't have a problem. Every day in my offices, patients come in and say, Doc, I got in an accident 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months ago. Didn't have any pain. Then all of a sudden it hit me. Trust me, if the car was damaged, you were damaged. But I digress, because what happens is people will then take medications, prescription medications, because the pain is so bad, and then they're trying to lose weight and they can't. So that's where the problem comes in. Beta blockers, antidepressants, anti-inflammatory drugs, seizure medication, diabetic medication, injectable insulin. All of these can cause problems and prevent you from losing weight, even if you're doing the right thing. No matter how serious you are about trying to lose weight, if you're on a lot of these medications, the body isn't just going to drop weight. And there's physiological reasons behind it. The body's trying to store fat because the body thinks it's under stress. And if you're under stress, we'll talk about cortisol a little bit. And cortisol is a steroid hormone. And if you've ever taken steroids, I have, you realize you blow up like a balloon. And usually you're ravenous. You can't eat enough. And you can't lose the weight. But adrenal glands produce cortisol. Cortisol is a steroid hormone, and that can cause you to gain weight. So stress causes you to release cortisol, which causes you to lay down fat, which then produces estrogen, and estrogen causes you to lay down fat. See how we're kind of stuck here? Like Elvis always said, I'm caught in a trap. And that's what happens. You're kind of caught in a trap. And so if you're under stress, whether it's chemical, physical, or emotional stress, the adrenal glands will produce cortisol. Short-term stress, no big deal. Somebody comes into the studio right now, a gun goes off or something, we all hit the ground, the cortisol is released, and we're all nervous, and then we realize it wasn't that, a light fell. or something like that. Okay, no big deal. Cortisol goes back to normal again and we're fine. But when you have long-term stress, chronic stress, that's when we start to see the problems. So that's why I recommend adrenal support, adrenal supplements, avoiding stimulants, but we're going to cover that a little bit later. So if you're taking one of the drugs, you really need to talk to your doctor, the prescriber, I guess I should say, and ask him if there's an alternative to that medication that doesn't cause you to gain weight. Many times there's multiple different medications, blood pressure medications, beta blockers. There's multiple different kinds. And then you can say, well, listen, doc, this one, I read the side effects. One of them is weight gain. I can't lose weight. Can we try a different medication? So always talk to your prescriber. Don't do it on your own, because I want to make sure that you're doing it the right way. Some medications you can just come off. Some medications you have to be taken off slowly. And if you come off improperly, that can cause other health issues. But my goal with medication always is try to get you well enough so you don't need the medication. I've never told a patient to stop taking medication, ever. 34 years of practice, almost 35 years now. I've never told a patient to stop taking medication. But our goal is to get you well enough that you don't need the medication. So maybe you have neck pain or back pain, and you're taking pain meds or maybe antidepressants. We have people that are in pain taking antidepressants, causing them to gain weight. So what my team of doctors will say, okay, why do we have the pain? Is it a pinched nerve? Is it a muscle spasm? Is it a bad diet? Certain foods can irritate nerves, acid foods. And so then we try to get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptom. But again, I'm not the one to take you off your medication. Your prescriber and I need to work together, or my team of doctors need to work together on that. So talk to your doctor about getting a different prescription. And here's what I want you to do. Whenever you take a prescription, read that little insert that's in there. My friend Clark Howard calls it mouse type, because it's really, really small and you can't see it. But I want you to read that and read the side effects. Because many times patients come in my office and they have health issues, and I'll say, let's look at your medication, let's look up the side effects. And sure enough, a lot of the problems are because of the side effects of the medications. Then we have to get a new medication or fix it. But if you're looking for a guideline on how to get well, I have a great book. It's called Prescription for Extreme Health. And it really lays out everything from the nervous system, digestive system, nutrition. We have a whole chapter in there for athletes. Sugar, what it does, what sugar and alcohol and meat and dairy do to your body. It's really a great book. It's called Prescription for Extreme Health, and it's on my website, drjoe.com, along with well over 1,000 hours of podcast, audio and video. So we've got a ton of stuff on the website. We got a blog. So do that if you want to learn. You can listen or watch. Read the blog. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. A lot of times we live stream shows and lectures that I do. So just follow us there. It's a good idea. And if you want to send us your email address, we send out specials for just people on our email address, maybe special lectures, topics, articles that I'll write. It's all on the website, drjoe.com. Other issues as to why people gain weight. I've had vegans come to me. Vegan is somebody who eats no animal products, and say, Doc, I can't lose weight. I'm a vegan. I've been a vegan for about 33 years now. And there have been times in my life where I had to sit down and say, why am I not losing weight? Couldn't figure it out. Why did I gain weight? And there's good fats and there's bad fats. And the good fats, if you're going to eat fats, I recommend you eat them in a whole food form. What the heck is whole food? Nuts, avocados, artichokes, olives. These are whole foods. When you start to process the oil out of these foods, that's when I find that people have problems. Now, with me, personally, if I eat too many nuts, I'll put on weight. So I always say the best 4 foods to eat are fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. But if weight is an issue, you've got to be careful not to eat too many nuts. So I may sprinkle some sunflower seeds on a salad or maybe a couple handfuls of cashews. I had some of those today. And that's okay. But if weight is an issue, you got to start thinking, even though I'm a vegan, why am I putting on the weight? Let's start looking at things that are high in fat. Because remember, there's the whole thing with the ketogenic diet, which I'm going to talk about today. Don't worry, it's a big question I get all the time. But what happens is people can be vegan and not be skinny. And you cannot be a vegan and be skinny. And a lot of it has to do with fat, because a gram of fat has 9 calories. A gram of carbohydrates and protein has about 3 calories. So it takes more. Now, if you're going to go to an all ketogenic diet, meaning you're eating mostly fat, 60 to 80% of your calories coming from fat, your body then starts to metabolize the fat. But if you're eating a pseudo ketogenic diet, I'm going to eat mostly, fats, but I'm going to have a little bit of carbs. What happens then is those carbs turn into fat. The fat turns into fat. It doesn't work out. So if you're going to do the ketogenic diet, and I'll probably go into this a lot further if I have time, I only recommend you do it for 2 months. And you got to cycle if you're going to do this. 2 months maximum of the ketogenic diet, and then go back into a regular diet again. A healthy diet, a good diet, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and cycle back and forth. And then your body goes into feast and famine, and then that could be a jumpstart you to lose weight. Because some people get stuck. They do the ketogenic diet, they do 2 months, they're stuck. I don't know what to do now, doc. I've been doing it. I lost weight like crazy. It was great. Well, if you do it right, and then cycle out. New studies on a ketogenic diet show you shouldn't do it for more than 2 months. Because what happens is you can actually increase your risk of heart disease by about 30%. What? Yeah. So it's not something you want to do long term, short term only. So if you're going to eat fats, I do recommend to eat it in a whole food form. If it's olive oil, if it's coconut oil, we used to think it was okay to eat that. Nah, not long term. So use it sparingly, very little if you can, and you'll find that many times that kicks in your weight loss again. If you hit a plateau, start cutting out the fats. And so what do you eat? I have a great lecture I did, actually. It's on my website, drjoe.com. And if you want to learn about this and what to do, I have one lecture I did called The 7 Deadly Sins of Nutrition. And that talks about the 7 foods you want to avoid: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. The second CD is called So What Can I Eat? So this is a good step. And many people who just do that lose weight like crazy, feel great, have more energy, slightly reverse the aging process, and it's kind of a lot of fun. So that's a good guide. But if you're still stuck, this is one thing you might want to consider is you can go ketogenic, but again, only short term. I wouldn't do it for much more. Dairy is a big problem. Now, it's one of my 7 deadly sins, dairy, but it's not the calories or the fat. It's the properties of the whey protein that's in dairy. Now, if you've ever worked out, if you ever know bodybuilders, I use whey protein shakes because I need more protein. All right. Number one, that's one of the biggest lies you've ever been told. You don't need more protein. Most of us get plenty of protein. Chances are you need less protein. Very good friend of mine came to my office a couple of days ago. Hadn't seen him in a few years, but he and I have been friends for years. And he used to be 375 pounds, about my height, about 6 foot, 6'1", big mountain of a man. So I walk in the room, and I saw his name and his wife's name on the forms. And I walk in, and I'm looking at him, and he's now down to like 205. And I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and he says, yeah, look weird, isn't it? And I'm like, what happened? He was severe diabetic. I told him for years to change his diet. Finally, he had his stomach stapled. Not a big fan of this. Because now the stomach is gone. It's like this forever, which I'm not a big fan of. Don't alter your body if you don't have to. And what's happening now is they told him to eat a very high protein diet. 35, 40 grams of protein a day. No. A meal? Anyway, it was a lot of protein. And what was it? All animal products, dairy products, and meats. And what's happened now, diabetes, gone. 50 years old, diabetes is gone. But now he's got kidney failure, stage 4 kidney failure. And they're talking about dialysis. And again, he's 50 years old. And then they're talking about a kidney replacement. He said, and I figured if there's anybody in the world that I should come to, it's you. You're the master. And I looked at his diet and I said, you're putting in way too much protein. Because the protein has to be broken down in your liver and then filtered out through your kidneys. And a high protein diet can destroy your kidneys. And that's one of the many downsides of it. So if we're talking about dairy and whey, that's one of the protein powders that people use all the time, and it's not a good idea. It increases insulin levels in about 20% of the people. Now, insulin is released from your pancreas, and it goes into the cells, and it opens up the cells and allows sugar to come in. So insulin kind of like opens up the gate, opens up the door in a cell, and sugar comes in. So in about 20% of people, it increases insulin production, which then causes the cells to open up and allow more sugar in. Well, eventually, the cells can't take any more sugar, and they become insulin resistant. What's insulin resistance? Type 2 diabetes. And so they're not utilizing sugar. So now the sugar is floating around in the blood. Can't stay in the blood because it's an acid. Remember, acid's not too good for the blood. So the body has to take that sugar and store it somewhere. So the body stores it as triglycerides. That's why if you hear people talk about triglycerides, they have high triglycerides. Well, probably from things like this. Triglycerides it stores glycogen. Glycogen is stored, then it's converted into triglycerides and then stored as fat. So if you hear people have high triglycerides, it's because the glycogen stores are all filled, and it's converting into, the glycogen stores are filled, it's converting into triglycerides, which is then being stored as fat. So I know there's a little chemistry right there, but the bottom line is if you're not utilizing your sugar, it turns into fat. Stored as glycogen. Once glycogen stores are filled up, converted into triglycerides, stored as fat. So if you're doing whey protein, about 20% of people, you could be gaining weight, not losing weight. And you're thinking to yourself, but Dr. Joe, I'm doing this, I'm working out, and I've got this protein, and I've got to build this muscle mass, and you're causing severe damage. Because insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, can kill you. It can increase your risk of heart disease, cancer, digestive issues. Not a good thing to have. So be careful with the whey protein. The way you test to see if you have this issue is eliminate dairy for a 4-week period. Absolutely no dairy. No butter, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, eggs, whey protein, nothing like that. If you lose 8 or 9 pounds, you're among those with exceptional sensitivity to the whey protein effect. So just cutting out the dairy and you start to lose weight, 8 or 9 pounds in 4 weeks, 2 pounds a week, you say, okay, I shouldn't do dairy. It's not something you should be doing. So if you don't have that problem, dairy products are not the culprit. But here's the thing. I'm not a fan of dairy because it's not just the whey protein. People say, well, I drink milk for what? Calcium. Well, calcium, yeah, milk is high in calcium. But when you pasteurize the milk, the calcium will bind to casein. And now the calcium is not usable. Some of it is, but most of it is now bound up and not usable. So you actually can lose calcium by drinking milk because dairy products have something in it called methionine and cysteine, which are amino acids that have to be neutralized, and the body uses calcium as a neutralizing agent. So calcium is bound up to the casein when you pasteurize it. You put in methionine and cysteine. The body has to neutralize the methionine and cysteine. Where's it going to get calcium from? Your bones. So there's a study called the NURSES study, and it's been going on now for decades. And they found that many interesting things have come out of this because they followed nurses like from as early as they could in life to death. And one of the things that came out of it was the more dairy products you consume, the higher the rate of osteoporosis. What? Yeah. The more dairy products you consume, the higher the rate of osteoporosis. How insane is that? So as a chiropractor, my team of doctors, we want to make sure you have healthy bones and a healthy nervous system. And so we try to work on several things when a patient comes in. We work on the nervous system. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, we talked about car accidents earlier, come see us. Stop suffering. Biggest complaint I get. Again, almost 35 years in practice. Why didn't I do this sooner? And the answer is, I don't know. So come see us as soon as you can. If you want to make an appointment, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Go to my website, drjoe.com, and you can make an appointment. Our phone number, I know you're not supposed to give out phone numbers because people can't remember them, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE, or just go to drjoe.com. It's a lot easier. You can do it online. Call us if you have questions, but do it right away because most of you are suffering, and I don't want you to. It's really silly that you're suffering. And I just put an end to that. And then we're talking about trying to lose weight. One of the reasons we eat so much is because we have cravings. How many people have cravings aside from me? Raise your hands. Of course you do. It's the way the body works. Body loves sugar. Sugar stimulates the dopamine receptor sites and the nucleus accumbens in your brain, and you're getting high. So when you have those cravings for sugar, you want to get high. And you're not supposed to get high from sugar, but you do, and that's why you want more. So it's important that you have the right amount of nutrients in your body. If you're not eating the right amount of nutrients, your body is craving nutrition. So when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. And what do people do? They put in alcohol and meat and sugar and dairy and coffee and soda and artificial sweeteners and bread, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas, and they feel physically full, but it's not enough nutrients. So the brain says, yeah, those donuts sure tasted good, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted micronutrients and macronutrients. Macronutrients being carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, and micronutrients being like vitamins and minerals. And so the body says, I want micronutrients, not donuts, so I'm going to make you hungry again. And so even though you've eaten enough volume of food, you're still hungry. So make sure you get the proper amount of nutrients, not food, into your body. That's why I created Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. If you're new to the show, there are 2 powders. I take them at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. And they taste great. I take a scoop of each. I mix it up. I love coconut milk, but coconut milk, almond milk, cold water, shake it up and drink it. You can make a smoothie out of it. I don't care how you get it in your body. And I mix them together just because I'm lazy. And I don't know how I'd survive without Super Greens and Essential Source. It helps my brain function, it helps with energy, it helps me curb my appetite. I can't tell you how many patients have come to me over the years and said, Dr. Joe, I can't afford not to take Super Greens and Essential Source. And the first time I heard that, I said, what do you mean? And they said, because when I take it, I eat less. So I'm saving so much money on food because I'm taking the Super Greens and Essential Source that I actually make money. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be taking Super Greens and Essential Source. For children too, if they can eat solid food, they can take Super Greens and Essential Source. If they're real little, I'd probably cut maybe the dose in half or a quarter, depending. I'm about 180, 190 pounds, so I take 2 scoops. So for an adult, it's 2 scoops. If you're just a little baby, maybe half a scoop, quarter scoop. But it's amazing, and I just love it because people stop me. A lot of people just hear me on the radio or they see me on TV and they recognize my voice and my face, and they'll say, Dr. Joe, thank you for those Super Greens and Essential Source. Unbelievable how it's changed my life. So if you want to get those, all my supplements, we have Super Greens Essential Source. We're going to talk about digestive enzymes a little later, vitamin D. If you're not getting direct sunlight in the summer, in the winter it doesn't count, you have to be taking about 5,000 international units of vitamin D. All the supplements are on my website, drjoe.com. Also on Amazon if you want to order them there. But if you go to the website, if you have questions, you can send us questions. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have because we want to help get you well and keep you well. That's our goal. So for neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, just go to my website. Anytime, headaches, numbness, tingling, muscle weakness, digestive disorders. We see so many digestive patients. Go to the website, drjoe.com, and make an appointment because you're going to be happy. Hopefully you're going to be happy that you did. And why are you suffering? 26,960 days in an average life. Why would you suffer even one of those days if you don't have to? So the website's there. Do it right now, drjoe.com. So we're talking today about why you're not losing weight, some other reasons, even if you're doing everything right. If you don't eat enough food, you're going to have problems. But you got to eat the right kind of food. Because some people will fast, and that's another thing, I think it's in here in my notes somewhere, but I'll kind of give you a preview on that too. It's something called intermittent fasting. Your body, when you eat food, burns that meal for about 8 hours. This is just generally. After that, the body starts burning fat. Most of us eat every 8 hours. So what happens is you're never into the fat burning mode. So if you can do something called intermittent fasting and actually skip lunch or dinner or breakfast twice a week, that's the thing that works. It's one of the things that works with me. If I start feeling like I'm just getting bloated and heavy, I'll just go into intermittent fasting 2 or 3 times a week. I'll skip dinner. Now, I usually have a late lunch, usually 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll try to spread out my lunch to 2 or 3 o'clock, and then I just skip dinner. Drink water, of course, and it's amazing. Within a couple of days, bam, your body starts burning fat again. So your body's tricky. It doesn't want to lose weight. Your body's job is to store fat, what's called energy, store fat or energy so that if there's ever an impending crisis, it has a reserve tank. So you're trying to lose weight and your body's going, no, man, come on. What if something happens? We're going to need this extra fat. And you argue with your body. So what you got to do is let the body know, hey, listen, everything's cool. We got plenty of nutrients coming in, Super Greens, Essential Source. I take a B complex every day. We're going to talk about the adrenal glands and cortisol. I take an adrenal supplement every day. And the body has to know that it's getting everything it needs. And then it'll say, okay, we can utilize what we have, pass it out, because I know there's more coming. And once you don't give the body what it needs, that's when you start having problems. So that's when you'll gain weight. Super Greens and Essential Source, again, really simple way to do it. Gonna have to go to break pretty soon. I want to see if I can cover iodine and hyperthyroidism here. Hypothyroidism, because that's an issue too. A lot of people will say, Dr. Joe, I'm tired all the time, I'm losing my hair, and they'll go get a thyroid test, and a thyroid test normal. Anybody ever have that happen? Raise your hands. Of course, I see it every day. And it can create mood swings, cause you to gain weight. The thyroid assessment many times doesn't tell you some of the intricacies that are going on. They test for thyroid stimulating hormone, and that's a hormone that's produced in your brain, and it tells your body that it needs more thyroid hormone. Once you produce thyroid hormone from your thyroid, those thyroid hormones go up to the brain, and the brain says, okay, stop producing thyroid stimulating hormone. And it's a negative feedback loop. It's always checking. We got enough? Nope, we don't. We have it. So they test that, and then they'll test your thyroid levels as well. But many times you don't have the right amount of iodine. So even though everything looks good, you don't have the right amount of iodine to produce the chemicals, the thyroid hormones. When I come back, I'm going to finish up on that because that's a real hot topic. We're going to talk about a little bit more about intermittent fasting, insulin resistance, a lot of things to cover. if you want to make an appointment to come see us, we have chiropractic offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We're very good at pain management. I am board certified in pain management. So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you have pain, I think I'm the only chiropractor in the state board certified in pain management, actually. And a lot of pain management docs send us their patients because they can only give them so many drugs. And they're like, I don't know what else to do. Go see Joe and his team. So make an appointment, drjoe.com. Again, if you've ever been in a car accident, please come see us. If the car was damaged, you were damaged. So car accidents, sports injuries, neck pain, back pain, digestive issues, all the supplements, all that's on the website if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Got to run. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Thanks for listening to For the Health Bit. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well. You can also listen to and call into my radio show live Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 Eastern Time on WSBRadio.com and on the WSB Radio app.